live here.
We have breaking news, and we've been waiting to share this story with you for 12 years now, and the happy ending has finally come. 12 years ago, an evil monster who goes by the name of Grendel broke into the mead hall of the Danish king Hrothgar. Grendel was born from a pair of monsters who descended from Cain. His parents were just as evil as he, and banished by God for the crime of Abel's death. After being shunned away from men, they split into 1,000 forms of evil and have been defeated repeatedly after opposing God's will. Rebecca's here to tell you more of the story.
Thank you, Ashlyn. King Hrothgar and his warriors were enjoying an evening of drinking and celebrating before they fell into a heavy sleep, causing them to be unaware of the danger that lied ahead. Grendel snuck into the hall and found the warriors sleeping. Thinking quickly, Grendel slipped through the door and snatched up 30 of the men. He snatched them into their beds and ran out with their bodies, blood dripping behind them, back to his lair. As if that wasn't bad enough, Grendel came back the next night and all the nights after that to take down anyone who was standing in his way. The city of Herod had lost all hope, and the king Hrothgar wept with sorrow, not knowing how to save his country.
The sorrow continued for many years until Hrothgar finally received an offering of help from one of the strongest and bravest men alive, a great person named Beowulf. Beowulf had heard of Grendel's endless horror and how he was filling the city with continuous sorrow. He gathered 14 of his bravest warriors and set sail for Denmark, where he would offer help to Hrothgar.
Continuing, Grendel came out of the marsh carrying God's hatred with him in hopes of killing as many people as he could. When he had arrived at Hrothgar's home, he knew something was different. The home had never been so well protected. When he finally made it inside, he saw all the young warriors and soldiers sleeping in the hall. This made Grendel's heart joyful, for he meant to tear the life from each and every one of those bodies by the time morning had arrived. Grendel snatched up the first body he came to before clutching out Beowulf. Unaware that there were swords waiting awake to take Grendel on, Grendel was instantly seized by Beowulf and instantly frightened, for he had never met one man anywhere on earth with stronger hands than he. Grendel thought about going back to his marsh to hide, but it was too late. Every soldier was up from their beds with their swords all pointed at Grendel, but no sword could even scratch him. Beowulf showed no mercy, and eventually the battle was over. Grendel escaped badly wounded back to his miserable hole at the bottom of the marsh, where he would be left to die. Beowulf had ripped off Grendel's arm, which would hang in the hall for years to come as a trophy to remember the great victory. Hope had returned to Herod once more.
As great as it was that Grendel is no longer a threat, we knew that his mother still lived on and that she was determined to avenge her son's death. And we were right, as Grendel's mother soon rose from the depths of her dark and watery home, and she made her way towards Herod. When she reached Herod, she found the Danes sleeping, and as hard as she tried, she was unable to defeat them, as no woman could ever overcome the strength of a strong man. She fled the hall with one single victim, that victim being Hrothgar's closest friend and the man he loved the most on earth. She killed the glorious soldier and could not be stopped, as Beowulf and his men were soon to better beds and had been sleeping in a different hall. She carried off Grendel's claw as she left the hall, the claw that was used as a trophy to represent the victory between Beowulf and Grendel, and the sorrow had returned to Denmark. Instantly, Hrothgar knew what he had to do. He offered Beowulf a golden treasure if he was willing to help the Danes once more. Beowulf agreed and eagerly approached the lake to battle the monster. He leaped into the lake and swam for hours and hours and hours through the rough waves until finally he saw the marsh at the bottom. The she-wolf saw him, and at once she clutched at him cruelly but was unable to harm him. She tore and scratched in vain before carrying him, sword and all, back to her home. The fight attracted other sea monsters, and Beowulf now had a swarm of sea beasts beating in his mail shirt and stabbing him with their tusks and teeth. Beowulf soon realized that he had been brought into someone's battle hall, and nothing could attack him through the high arching roof of the building. The lake looked like a fiery swarm to him. He swung his sword straight at the monster's head before realizing that no sword could slice her evil skin. The battle continued, and Beowulf was growing weak. Before he noticed a magic sword hanging on the wall, a sword that he could use to kill all the strength that she had left before she fell lifeless to the floor. Then, to get revenge for all of Grendel's vicious actions, he hunted for the dead monster in the mother's home. When he finally found him, he thought of all the sorrow and pain that he caused to King Hrothgar and the Danes. He sliced off his head, a replacement trophy for the claw that was previously used. The head was so big it took 4 men to carry it out. Beowulf returned to Heorot, covered with the glory he received from all the daring battles he had fought.
Fight with Grendel's mother had ended, Beowulf and the 4 men carried Grendel's head back to shore, and Beowulf and his men were honored by the Danes and later returned to Geatland. Beowulf would later become king and rule for many years after. When a dragon threatened to attack Beowulf's kingdom, he began preparing himself to fight and kill the dragon. Sadly, none of Beowulf's men were brave enough to face the dragon except one young man named Wiglaf. Together, Beowulf and Wiglaf trained and then battled and killed the dragon. Returning home, the injured Beowulf, slowly dying, left his entire kingdom and treasure given to him from King Hrothgar to Wiglaf. Wiglaf, then after, has been protecting and fighting off anyone who's threatened his kingdom.
Thank you for tuning in to RNA News on our educational session on local hero Beowulf as he saved the country of Denmark from misery, despair, and sorrow.
We hope all is well and stays well in the city of Heorot.
Stay tuned for more information.